the intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today, going to take a look at Incursions, specifically the feedback that y'all provided. Now, if you were unaware, I actually took the survey that we did together and I presented it as an actual presentation to the dev team yesterday. And I was actually pretty excited about that, and potentially some of those things that we talked about have already leaked into some of the upcoming Incursions. Now, I do feel very strongly that I have to say, what I'm about to share with you and discuss, I do not expect like amazing immediate changes, and that's okay. Don't need everything to be amazing or immediate, but they do need to happen based on player feedback. Because this next incursion is literally in under a week, I don't expect grand changes, and that's fine with me, honestly. I know I just repeated myself, but I feel like I've got to really reiterate that point. But what I do want to talk about is what the feedback showed, all the data points from that, how it all worked, and why your voice matters and why you are important. And I'll even go over some of the few different notes that we talked about during the meeting. Though, as you can imagine, I can't share everything that was discussed. That's fine. We'll keep you updated with whatever I can share. But let's go from here. And this is very nice. This is very nice. This is wonderful. Very nice. Wunderbar. But what if we went, bam? There we go. Presentation. I love cool transitions. Isn't that fun? It was fun. It was so fun. It was cool. It was transition. So this is the actual presentation. Yes, I made it into an actual presentation. I mean, if you're going to do something, do it right? So definitely give it a couple shout outs real quick. Irene, thank you, ma'am, for helping me so much with this and just doing so much. Stewie do also help with some of the numbering and everything, but overall, that's the people who made this all fantastic. I think they did an amazing job. Anyway, going from there. Let me, sorry, that little bump. There we go. Edit that. All right, so click the first slide. Now I'm going to be in the way for some of this, so just don't worry about that necessarily. I think I can, I'll move myself to the opposite side of the screen. How about that? Transition so we can read everything and go through. So this is just the basic template or the table of contents of what we discussed in the meeting itself. I think most of this probably pretty self-explanatory. Y'all already know it, but just in case the people who were with me weren't aware of the process we went through, this kind of covered it. So the survey gathering method, the survey results, keynotes, we'll talk about those. So this was how we did it. We did it with the Google Forms. We've done this before, and we simply got all these that we could. We used multiple choice for this, and then the bottom two were answers that you submitted in manually in terms of what you like, dislike, etc. So first relevant slide was the data gathering. We had over 4,600 individual players respond to the survey. I do have to make a note that Scopely was extremely impressed that in 3 days, and I mean, y'all should be extremely proud of yourselves, that in 3 days, y'all commented that much and y'all participated that much. They were like, wow, that's a lot of people for this type of survey. Went over how we did it. So because of time constraints, you know, we didn't have like 2 or 3 weeks to take all this data. We ended up using a sample size of the answers, 13% of them when it comes to the feedback portion, but the yes, no results are everybody. So the yes, no results that you're about to see are literally all of the yes, no's together. So that brings us to this next point, which is this map right here. Now, I will move myself again so you can see things a little bit better, but this is yes or no. Red meaning that level range right here didn't enjoy it. Green meaning they did. As you can imagine, and this is pretty predictable, green goes up as level increases and then red goes down. Now, overall, this is what this number is right here. For the first incursion run of the 4,600 plus people who participated, 57.9% said they did not like incursions. I kept it a flat yes or no. Now, I will say there are a lot of people who are on the fence because of some simple things that could be done better. And we talked about that pretty heavily with Scopely as we go through it. So let's go to the next slide. Dislikes. This is going to be a big one for a lot of y'all. Now, some of these were pretty shocking, I think, for people watching this video. You're going to strongly disagree. I can already tell the comments. You're going to be like, well, this is not accurate. It's obviously this one was the worst one or that one was the worst one. So this was the benefit of having so many different people contribute. When you literally have thousands of people, you're able to get a better barometer of opinions instead of it just going to like, hey, Rev's Discord, 200 people reply in the Q&A channel. This is a lot more, so you get a better average of the, the overall look of players. The biggest complaint was the one at the very top, which you've already seen, if you've noticed, slight changes in the SMS here. So if we actually go and scroll down, you'll see the all-out offense and all-out defense has swapped. So how that works now is it's a 12-hour window for this SMS. So when you're on attack, 12 hours, when you're in defense, 12 hours, and then it'll flip. So instead of it being 6-hour periods, they're trying out something slightly different. One of the things that we did talk about heavily in this meeting was that the 6-hour rotations, as you can see right there, was a heavy complaint. Now, here's the thing. There were people who wanted 24 hours, or people who wanted none. There were people who wanted 4, or people who wanted 12. There wasn't a definite from the players of how to fix the 6 hours. So they're going to rotate and they're going to try different things to find what works better for the player base. But you all see needing better rewards was a massive feedback point, and I made sure to include high levels in particular. Really disliked it, and you can see that. The color coding on these charts that Irian set up has to do with level bracketing. So like when you see the greens at the very top, that's high level players. Those are like 58s and 60s and 53s. Did not like the zoned SMS. Did not agree that the conduit sourcing was that great, but the biggest people who complained about conduit sourcing, levels 25 through 34, as expected. That's one of the things I like about this. We're able to segment that data and get valid, viewpoints from all of you. But surprisingly, the opt-out and the shield suppression was not a and I'm not saying that those who have this opinion are invalid, but I expected these points to be higher. The opt-out and the shield suppression was not a huge complaint. It's actually one of the lower complaints on the chart. And what we did is we actually used word mapping and keywords to find what were the biggest complaints about incursions. And surprisingly, this was not one of the bigger complaints, but obviously enough to make it onto the dislike board and areas of opportunity that they can improve upon. As expected, free to play versus pay to win was a big conversation, which I think blends into the zoned SMS and the leaderboards. And we did have very lengthy discussions about PvP and talking about balancing and how just there's not a feeling of balance a lot of times. The positives. The biggest positive in the game was resources rated, the PvP aspect, new people, social interaction, and then this one really blew my socks off. The fourth highest marked positive about this was that for 24 hours, there was no row. And my little pirate self just got all giddy when these results started to come out. Now, I'm not saying that row is bad or that row should be dealt away with. I'm not at all. I also think it's pretty funny that high-level players weren't the ones that voted that row being gone was good. And Rev always talks about row being for the high levels. If maybe coincidence, maybe not. Either way, I got a little giddy, hence the smile on my face. But what it did show is that there is a group of players that for limited runs and limited time spaces, people like the ability to go in and just play the game without worrying about the socio-political pressures of row. Now, I am in no way advocating for the dissolution of row across the game. I'm not. But I am saying that this event proved that for short spans, players enjoy that a lot to be able to go out and just play however they want. And then I did want to point out this bottom one. I included it because the rewards being listed as good was farly outclassed by the ones who hated it versus the ones who enjoyed it. Next slide was ideas. I love some of the ideas you came up with, including because I never led y'all to go to certain ideas. But right here, capture the flag event. I never mentioned new event types, but there was enough players out there who were thinking of different ways to make incursions better that you're even thinking of new events. And this was actually very well received by the dev team. All of these ideas, they were like, whoa, this is really good feedback. And they said that about everything. They said about the negatives, the positives, but we definitely talked about a lot of these. So the top point is not running it during an arc and during a weekday. I will admit, I am getting resistance to the fact that I don't want incursions run in the middle of a battle pass or on a weekday. They are willing to try different methods, as we're seeing with this upcoming run of incursions, to see what works better. They have, concerns about running it on weekends. Some of their concerns about running it on weekends is the fact that we have Cosmic Cleanup, Swarm Sunday, and they don't want players who are trying to avoid incursions to be forced even more into it. But there's some of those are some of the things we talked about. We also talked about adding PvE mechanics. They did stress that Incursions is a PvP/rating focused event, but that it will not always be only that. Like there are ideas and open to ideas for expanding Incursions to be more than just PvP. So that was good. And then the reducing the quality screen time for success, making coordinates showable. All these were the most recommended points and ideas that players came up with in the survey. And then the last slide that we're going to go over is keynotes and talking points. I did bring up the elephant in the room, lag. Now, the problem is this survey does not appropriately address lag. So the feedback I provide for it really isn't that relevant. What I mean by that is I did not take down device information, your operating system. I don't know any of that. But what I did tell them is, hey, we had over 4,600 people and the word lag came up over 1,100 times in the survey. That means that lag was something that was really big. I did point out that there were some positive lag responses, like this one right here, this player being very surprised that it actually worked, but most lag responses are negative responses. So I didn't hide that away. I made sure to bring that up to them, but because I didn't actually bring in any data points, like I said, no device information, no player information, no player IDs, me just putting lag in the negatives doesn't really help them, but I did want to make them aware that this was something discussed very heavily. Then we talked about different things that we could do for potential scoring adjustments, as well as making better communication for incursions coming up. And I think that you've seen a couple of those points already in the past few days as they announce incursions for next week. So overall, I would like to say that y'all had a pretty big impact in how we are going about incursions now and the future of incursions, to the point that, well, I give y'all credit. I think y'all did a great job with this because it's not Rev. And by the way, let's transition. Flame it up. There we go. So it's not just Rev, it's all of you. And I say this all the time. Like, look, it's my YouTube channel, but I have no power. I have no voice except the voice that y'all give me as players. So I thank you for that. I thank you for helping me be a player for the community who's able to be a spokesperson for the community as a content creator. I really appreciate it. But just remember, this is all you. Rev has no individual power. These presentations I put together and these meetings and these surveys are all led by you, and y'all are the reason that they result in illicit change. So again, thank you. Just to remind you that your voice has power. Your voice is leading to these type of meetings, and these meetings are showing up immediate change, even if they're minor changes. Think about it. That presentation was July 27th. That was yesterday. So less than a week later, they're already looking at making slight tweaks to try to make incursions better. That's a positive sign. I'm not saying that it's perfect, and I'm definitely not saying that it's irrelevant that 58% of the people disliked it day one. I think that's very important to note that the majority disliked it early on, but I do think there's enough good there to flip a lot of that into positive and make it a 60-40 or 70-30 positive to negative. But yeah, as always, your thoughts matter, and drop your thoughts in the comments section down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know how the data points can be improved, how surveys can be better. I want to know how I can better represent you as players and get everybody's opinions. Whether you liked it, disliked it, I want to know, and I need your help to continue pushing this to them. And I'll make sure to pass along everything I've got. Another thing that we did talk about, I didn't necessarily mention in the survey, or I'm sorry, I didn't mention here, but is mentioned in the survey. And I will make this presentation available to y'all if y'all want it. But they did do this. For those who were unable to participate, the servers who were left out last time, they gave you this. I'm going to hide as I say this. Like, I appreciate that they sent something, but this is pretty lackluster, Scopely. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I'm not super excited about that. 3 Una shards and 500 for the 3 servers who didn't participate last time feels kind of meh, but there are servers participating in bye weeks. I'm going to really push for this to be better for those who are not able to participate at all. That way you feel like you're getting something. But yeah, they did give out something for those on the bye week. Anyway, again, let me know what you think. If you want to help out the channel, like the video. Looks like this. Thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share it out with your alliance mates, your server, Discord, social media, wherever. Live long and prosper. Stay safe, other Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next one. I'm Outie. I'm Rev. Bye.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.